We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
Throws toward the corner of the end zone. It is intercepted! Intercepted! The Ducks have the ball!
To the end zone! Touchdown, Oregon! Mariota dives! Touchdown! They hand it off straight out! C.J. Burdell wins the game for Oregon!
Inside the 10! A hat-trick, a touchdown from Justin Herbert! Howard's going to run for it. Time runs out, and that'll do it! Welcome to the Big Ten, Oregon! They storm the field at Autzen!
Welcome in, Duck fans, to another episode of the Ducks Rising Alumni Corner on the Ducks Rising Podcast Network. Just a reminder that this podcast is sponsored by the Ducks Rising Collective. Go to ducksrising.com to learn more about how you can help bring a championship to Eugene. We're also sponsored by Backer, and we encourage all Duck fans to check out their amazing Oregon jackets, hoodies, hats, and more at Backer. That's BCKR.com. Use the code RISINGFREE for free expedited shipping, and 10% of all orders go back to Ducks Rising. Super excited for today's podcast, joined today by former Oregon offensive lineman and first-round pick of the Washington Commanders, Josh Conerly. Josh, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on.
How weird was it not being out there with your former teammates yesterday?
I wouldn't say it was weird, but I mean it was definitely like happy moments being able to see everyone get out there and do their thing, and I'm glad that they got off to a great start.
Love it. Yeah, a little different than your guys' first game against Idaho last year, huh?
Right. Yeah. Totally different. But I want to say they just look like they're in a lot better flow than what we were.
For sure. So I know a big topic of yours is just your recruitment in general. I know fans had a lot of interest in that, and that was obviously a big win for Coach Lanning coming in. Like, what was your recruitment like getting to Oregon? Give fans an idea of kind of your side of things and how you ended up there.
Yeah, my recruitment was definitely one of a kind and very different from a lot of people's. Along with everybody else I was in my class. With COVID happening when we were when I was a sophomore, and like partly like my junior year, kind of took a toll on like not just me but everybody in my class being able to like go on visits and stuff. So that's kind of like a thing. And then that was a thing that kind of like I feel like took me a while to make a commitment along with like everybody else. But I was the last person in my class to commit anywhere, which was like crazy to a lot of people. But at the same time, you see the amount of numbers of people that transferred after 1 year or even certain amount of months, and I feel like that's why I waited so long, because once like official visits were like allowed again, that's when I did all that and made my decision. But I mean, it was a very fun process, and it was a long one, but it ultimately came down to like UW, USC, and Oregon, and part of me just didn't feel right at home, and I just didn't really want to be home. I wanted to go try something new, but didn't want to be too far from everybody, as far as my family. And then I just felt like anywhere else was pretty far. But Oregon was close enough to where like my parents could still drive. So that was probably the biggest thing for me. And then obviously like the relationship that I built in such a short amount of time with Coach Lanning and Coach Clem, with them getting there in December and January, me making a decision by April, I feel like that it was something that like obviously I didn't think a whole lot about as 18-year-old. Like, I was just like, okay, you kind of just met the people and, committed to them in 3 months, and everybody else you knew for quite a while. But at the same time, it was just like, that's just like what felt right, and I just trusted my gut.
How much was there a lot of pressure to stay home and go to UW from like the people around you being from up there?
Not really. I mean, that was the one thing that I love about my circle so much, is that no matter where I was, I could have been in Miami and they would have still been there for me and still came to my games and stuff like that. So, I mean, obviously, like, that's another reason why I didn't go to, like, anywhere far, because I would have to do a lot of traveling with a lot of family. So yeah, but yeah.
So how, obviously, like being a 5-star guy and such a sought after guy, I mean, you had your choice to go basically anywhere you wanted. What and you chose to play for a coach that had never coached never been the head coach of a college game before. What was it about Dan and Clem, like you mentioned, just the whole staff? Like, what sold you on that vision that you were willing to take a chance?
I mean, literally everything that happened in my career is exactly what Dan told me would happen on my visits. And even everything that Coach Clem told me too, like you're gonna come in here, you're gonna develop, you're gonna get bigger, stronger, faster, you're gonna become a first round draft pick. That was the like what the plan was. And for me to look back on it and that's exactly what happened is pretty crazy. But at the same time, what stood out about them was just like how much at home I felt on my visit, and how the well they treated my family, and how I feel like there's a lot of detail to my visit, and like to my whole recruitment, and like there's a lot of like great, just I don't know, I just feel like all of it was just great intentions. So
You
yeah.
mentioned a little bit of it there, but I think it's a good transition to like the culture and what's going on at Oregon right now. I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of discussion just about like how much Dan all the way down invests in the culture and the environment and the family feel and everything at Oregon. Like,
Mhm.
what's that like from a player perspective, or can you walk us through like how that feels as a player?
I mean, I can definitely speak like offensive line wise. Like there's nobody there. I feel like there was no like room in the country that was as connected as we were. From the oldest guy to the youngest guy, like we all bonded and gelled together, and we spent a lot of time with each other off the field as well. And that just goes to, I mean, and all that, it's obviously not built overnight. And I feel like a lot of that was to credit Coach Terry and the law firm is really something that and I feel like the way that we were and the way that everyone seen us around amongst the team, that kind of like made the whole team want to be like, damn, like the O line is that connected. Like I feel like and then like I feel like it kind of just like transcended through that. I mean, I feel like the tight ends is another group that the tight ends and like the OLBs are two groups that were always super connected. And then like it kind of just transcends throughout the whole team, and a lot of that is like built by Coach Lanning and the amount of time that we spend together off the field, just doing team activity, and a lot of it's built through camp as well. A lot of the time where we're not in meetings or practice, obviously we're spending time together as a team. So yeah.
So you're obviously part of, three of the most winning teams in Oregon history and a 3-year run that probably has up there in terms of most combined wins in 3 years and a ton of
Yeah.
success. But also, I think each of those seasons ended either late or truly ended with losses that were probably put a little sour taste in your mouth.
Right.
How do you view that 3-year run? I think a lot of Oregon fans remember the highs and love those moments, but also, it's tough for them to get over the Ohio State game last year. I'm sure
Yeah.
for you, just like us, those a couple of those Washington games stick out in your head. Like, how do you view your run over those 3 years?
Um. Obviously, we came up short of the last 2 years. I feel like the first year, obviously, I was a freshman and played too much. But even with that team, I feel like late there was a lot of there was just a lot of like just ups and downs within the team. Obviously, I feel like the run was great, but I feel like my first year, I was a little just fish in the water, just kind of like not, just kind of like understanding what's going on, but not really understanding like every single thing. But I feel like looking back on it, there's just little like the little details at the end, like towards the end, is kind of like what sold us short. Um, 2022 for sure, and then like 23, like we were what maybe 4 or 5 plays away from being in a playoff in 23. Couple fourth downs the first game against Washington, and then like it's hard in a championship game when you spot someone, what was it, like 14 points maybe?
I
You
think
can't
more. I
spot.
think it wasn't it.
Honestly, we
Yeah.
were down. We were down a good amount. And obviously made a solid comeback, but you can't spot anybody points in a championship game and expect to, just rally back easily. But I personally feel like in 23 we were right there. We just like it was hard to spot somebody. I mean, the amount of points, and then like Burge goes down, Kyrie goes down, rest in peace. Like it's like little things like that is something that like no one really remembers. Is that Burge didn't really play. Burge didn't play the second half. Kyrie didn't play the fourth quarter. Like little things like that is kind of like what kind of was like the separator within like the offense. I mean, we were going to roll regardless and do our thing. We can't like I feel like that was something that, like, we always came out a little timid. But I mean, even for myself, thinking back 23, like in the championship game, that was probably one of my better performances of the year. But I feel like in the first Washington game, if I play better individually, then who knows where we were. But honestly, there's little plays that I can think of. It's just like there was like an inside zone that Braylon tries to cross my face in the championship game. If I seal him, Bucky's out of there. Like there's like certain plays that I can still remember that could have easily got us over the hump. And then even obviously like going to the next year in 24, like I feel like that Ohio State team that came out in the Rose Bowl was just like a different squad. Like that was just a totally, like, obviously all the same guys, but they just came out with a different. There's just a different energy on the field about them, and like how well they were prepared, and like they had like their game plan was pretty spot on. And then obviously we didn't have Evan Stewart, so it's kind of like that same like just like repeating thing of us like not having certain factors. Like Evan went for what 150 in our first game against him, then we don't have him at all. So then you can easily bracket Tez, bracket T Ferg, and then boom, like your pass game's kind of stop from there. And then you see the game that Trajan had, but it just like Trajan had what 150 himself, but besides that, like we couldn't get our run game going. I don't know. There's a little bit of everything in terms of like the losses, but like you can't forget. Like I feel like you can never forget the highs. I mean, first year in the Big Ten, win the Big Ten championship. Obviously, I'm gonna say undefeated conference schedule. Like there was great highs. I mean, even like the Fiesta Bowl win, like that was I feel like that was big for us. And obviously, we played Liberty, which wasn't like the best opponent and who we really expected to play. But yeah, at the end of the day, that's what they gave us, and we went out there and played ball and we won. And then even like the heroics of the Holiday Bowl 22, Boda Chase at the end of the game, like that, like I don't know. I feel like there's a lot to think back on, and like you said, lots of highs and lots of lows. But the lows, I feel like the lows weren't very low. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, like the lows were on the biggest stages of the season at all those points. So it's not like we were. I feel like the lowest low was our first game against Georgia, like Coach Lanning's first game. That was our lowest low in that 3-year run, and from there we grown. And I feel like I feel like from that game on, like Coach Lanning was a different coach, and that kind of woke everybody up. Is that like there's a certain standard that has to be set, and I feel like from that point on, it's grown and it's getting even better now. And watching those guys yesterday, like that, like looking at everybody and the amount of depth and the amount of guys that played, I was just like in awe about, like, damn, like this might be Coach Lanning's best team in my opinion. Like like I don't know. We'll see how, like, I have full confidence in Dante Moore. If he can live up to even Dylan's season last year, like we'll be great. because I mean he's changed. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people didn't really get to see Dante as much last year, but to see him change his body and like become even more of an athlete, like even just like on like that keeper on the third down yesterday when he just kept it hit it outside, got like an 8 yard gain, hops up, and just like ignites the whole game. I feel like from that point on that they were rolling. Like that's like when if he comes onto the field with that type of confidence and that type of just energy, it's gonna transcend and the whole team is gonna be behind him.
It reminded me of Bo, that run yesterday. First of all, I was surprised that was like the Ducks' like third play offensively, and they
Right.
design run Dante. I was like, oh, wow, okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Um, but he was he like ran up to the student section, fired him up. I'm like, wow, okay.
Like I want to say, if he comes out with that type of tenacity every week, like there, like obviously there's if it's not your quarterback doing it, then who's going to do it? You know what I mean? And that's what it was. Like Dylan did that for us. Bo did that for us. You know what I mean? So if he steps up to the plate and does that every week, like that's like what we need.
I love it. I love it. Who's someone else Duck fans like don't know about yet that you're excited to watch, or some guy you've seen brewing over the last couple of years?
Well, obviously they know about him now after yesterday, but Amari Washington, man, that he's gonna be a problem. And I feel like he already was last year. He just didn't play as much because obviously we had Jamari, had Derek, like a lot more like very veteran heavy last year. But Amari Washington, if he had corner, Brandon Finney, like they're like I feel like the defense, like the young, like how young the defense is, but they're still like really like seasoned vets at certain positions. That's gonna make sure that everyone's always on the same page and like is just flying. You know what I mean? Like you still have Bryce, you have Mateo, you have Tatum, you know, we got Dylan, like Dylan Thienem back there, like he's a dog. I ain't gonna lie. Like when I was out there training this offseason, like I'm seeing guys like him and even a young guy like Brandon that's in the weight room every day or doing something extra every single day. So it's like so to see that and I feel like in my time being there, it was pretty contagious of everyone coming in on a Saturday, on a Sunday, just getting a little extra work in, whether it was just like a little lift or like a little extra film or a little extra position work on the field. Like or just me being able to work with some of the O line dudes on the O line like that meant something to me. And I hope it meant something to them because they looked really good yesterday as well. So
Love it. I got one more question for you, and then a couple quick hitters real fast. I know you got to get out of here. Obviously, get drafted by the Commanders, and Oregon's second favorite player of all time behind you, Mariota, is your teammate now. So I got a bunch of questions about him. So give us a quick Mariota story, something going on with him. I have to ask and get an update on him.
I mean, it's great to have him as a teammate. Just because he knows where I come from and and stuff like that. So I mean, to have him on the share team, like it's crazy. So we were I can give you a quick story. So like in OTAs, we were just like going through practice and stuff like that, and this is like our first like couple like team periods like when we first got into phase 3 of OTAs, like they had called a read option and Marcus pulls it and runs. I was like, oh my God, like Marcus is what, 32, I think. And he pulls it and runs. I'm like, damn, like that's Marcus Mariota. Like he's like, and he's still fast as like still like I can't cuss on here, but like he's still moving. Like I was like, oh my God, like that's it right there. And then now was sadly like with B Rock being traded, he just got his number 8 back, and I was like, now that's the Marcus Mariota right there that I know. He just got his number back, I think this week. So
Oh,
that
no way. Eight's back. Eight's
yeah.
back.
So
Sweet.
so that was pretty dope to see as well. And I was just like, wow, yeah, I don't know, it's pretty dope. And like even before I had got my car out here, like he gave me a ride. He would give me a ride to like to the hotel when we stayed at the team hotel for camp, and Like just being able to just let's roll with him and talk about the past and ask for advice about just life and being in the area, anything like literally, like that's one thing I'll always be so thankful for Marcus about is that I can go to Marcus about anything in life and he'll have some type of advice or somebody I can connect to or he like someone that he can connect me with or anything like that, and there's nothing more I could ask for, honestly.
Yeah, seems like an awesome dude. Seems like every NFL guy that comes across him says the same thing.
Fantastic.
So we'll be rooting for a lot of blowouts from you guys this year, so we get to see 8 get some time
For
time at the
sure.
end there.
Oh yeah.
Just 2 quick hitters, real fast. Favorite uniform you ever wore at Oregon?
Uh, Probably the Stomp Out Cancers UCLA 22. Yeah.
Nice, nice. And then what was the most hyped locker room you can remember, but it can't be Ohio State last year?
Probably most hyped locker room.
Like post
Um,
game, like maybe a road game. I don't know. Your call, but I figure Ohio State is the most hyped. I was just seeing if there was another answer.
I don't know. Like USC 23 was a pretty hyped locker room pregame. UW after last year post game. Um, or UW at halftime was. I'm pretty sure everyone's seen that when Coach Love like smashes the helmet.
Did you guys know that was coming? Was that just completely
No,
at
that
random?
was just. I'm gonna say with Coach Love, like everything is pretty just like it's random. But
So
I'm
just
trying to think.
tell us about that then, and we'll get out of here. So you're just in the locker room at halftime, and then that just happens out of the blue.
Yeah, so Coach Lanning called us all up, and then like he's giving us like his talk or whatever, and then here comes Coach Love with the sledgehammer and the helmet. It's just like fuck that, like get out the way. And they're just like, this is what I need y'all to do right here. Smashes the helmet. We're just like we all like look at each other. It's like, all right, and then we just walk out there and just finish the game. But that was insane. I don't know, but man, they're. I mean, even like Wazoo 22, like after the comeback, that was like that was a crazy locker room. I don't know. There's a lot to think about with that. But I'll say like those are like top three, I guess.
Perfect. Well, hey, there's no better place to end it than some UW blowout talk. So, Josh, just grateful to you for joining us today. Appreciate the time. Looking forward to watching you guys this year. Who do you guys start with next week?
Giants.
Nice, nice. We'll be rooting for you as we say. Grateful for you for coming on today, and
Mhm.
best of luck this year.
Appreciate you. Thank you for having me on.